Hello, my friends. Welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show, where, as you know, if you are watching live on YouTube, we have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe it will crash, maybe it won't. I have done my very best. I checked my internet connection for 2 days, the last podcast being on Tuesday, and everything has been fine. So if it does crash, it's a YouTube thing, and I don't understand what's going on with that. Just to remind you as well, we now have a brand new channel where the archived versions of the stream are going to go. There is a link in the description below. I will try and post it everywhere I can to get people across. And it's simply because, as I found out when I was away, if you leave live streams up on YouTube as a public video, it will just screw your videos up for a while. Don't know why it does this, but it won't ping out on-demand videos as well. I can't explain it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's very, very annoying, especially because the only way I really make money off my YouTube channel is through my live streams. I don't really make money elsewhere. But hey-ho, it's 2020. We passed 100,000 subscribers, and I am trying to do my best to get my channel into a better place. So we will throw some things at the wall, and we will try and see what sticks. What else do we talk about? Yeah, of course, please do subscribe if you haven't watched already. Like the video, share the video. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at SimonMiller316. Got a Patreon. Shout out to patrons. Patreon.com/SimonMiller316, which means, well, not me, but without them, I wouldn't be able to do the show. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. I wouldn't be able to do any of my personal projects. So shout out to them. And like I say, yes, if you want to join in with the conversation, if you want to be part of the podcast, drop me a super chat and I will read out whatever you say. I'll ask you a question, whatever you want to put there. It's like a shop. You pay for something, you get something back, but we'll also delve into the other comments too, such as this idiot who goes because he's busy with XFL, dumbass. Great positive person you are, Sherlock Holmes. What an absolute moron. In fact, I'm not really bothering. Also, shout out to my man, pinsandknuckles.com and pinsandknucklesmerch.com, who do indeed support Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show. Go and check them out. Not only can they make you a t-shirt, but if you go to pinsandknucklesmerch.com, they've got an exclusive t-shirt from me, and they have exclusive t-shirts from lots of people in pro wrestling. It's kind of cool. It's like a British pro wrestling tease. I like it a lot. Okay. Sherlock Holmes is a troll. Of course he is. See you later, pal. How do I... there you go. Boom. He's out of here. Isn't it just... You try and have a bit of fun, and then you get people like that. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Right, so we are going to talk about AEW Dynamite later, and what a great show that was. Not even going to pretend otherwise. Really enjoyed AEW Dynamite this week. They have found their footing at exactly the right time, I think. You know, they got the Revelation pay-per-view that's happening in, 2 weeks, maybe just over. But yeah, man, just so easy to watch. So many good things, so many great feuds. But the thing I wanted to talk about first was there's this sort of topic going around about Vince McMahon. And the way it was described, I think it was Fightful that had the piece originally, and they said, that he's been distant from WWE television, which I found quite interesting. And you look into it, and basically, he hasn't been at SmackDown for a while. Excuse me, hasn't been at SmackDown for a while. And when it comes to Raw, he's only there, well, I guess when he feels like he needs to go. Now, the obvious, I tell you why it's more interesting. Yes, as our good friend, the guy that's been blocked, said, it's because he's helping run the XFL, which is likely true, but this is why I wanted to talk about it, because I find it quite fascinating. If that is true, Vince McMahon can't let that information get out, because if you do follow the more corporate side of WWE, you will know, what's going on with my throat? Haven't coughed all day. You will know that there's a lawsuit going on with some of the people who are stockholders in WWE, that they are worried about Vince McMahon's affiliation with the XFL, because when he launched the XFL, he said, look, this isn't going to affect WWE at all. There is going to, I'm going to carry on my business as usual. I've hired all these football guys that are going to carry the weight when it comes to the football league. My time is going to be spent on WWE. That's what he said. And he had to say that, like I say, in order for the stock not to tank, even though that's happened anyway. But if he is now dipping his toe into that kind of, he has to keep it really secret, and he has to keep it sneaking around. I just found that fascinating. I found it interesting. And I also this is a little bit more morbid than I mean it to sound like, but it also made me think, is this like Vince McMahon's last hurrah? I'm not saying he's going to drop down dead. And Vince McMahon, for all I know, will never drop down dead. If anyone is going to live forever, it'll be Vince McMahon. But I kind of think, 20 years ago when he tried to launch the XFL and it wasn't a success and he lost $75 million, or him and NBC did. What's going on? Or whoever did. it was a failure. It really, really was. You can't argue otherwise. The concept and the ideas may have been good, but the execution wasn't. And I kind of think that maybe that's been sitting deep within Vince McMahon's soul, for years. And maybe he does see this as his final hurrah. Maybe he sees this as, the way, before, and we're all going to meet the end eventually, but before he meets his own end, that he can right this wrong that's been hanging over his head for so long. That's kind of how I see it. And to the point that he knows he can't tank the WWE business. He has to be very careful with that, and yet he still wants to throw himself into things. I mean, who throws themselves into things more than Vince McMahon? And of course, the other interesting about this is Raw and SmackDown. Well, not SmackDown is a weird show, but Raw especially has been better later. I'm not trying to suggest that Vince McMahon isn't writing these shows. Vince McMahon clearly still has the green light on everything. It's 2020. We have, smartphones and Skype, and you can talk to somebody. You can talk to somebody in seconds. You don't have to be anywhere live. But, lots of wrestling fans have been saying that he needs to take a step back. And even if it's one that's not intentional because he's still trying to be involved, if you're not at the show and something goes down, there are other people that are going to delegate for you. Like it's Bruce Pritchard that sat in his chair on SmackDown. I assume it's Paul Heyman on Raw. So this could all work out very well long term. And I like the XFL. I watched some of it. I thought it was quite good. I liked some of the rule changes. I thought, again, it was less about the carnival and more about the sport, more about the game, which the original one absolutely wasn't. I honestly don't mind. It's different from, I'm looking at it from a fan point of view and not a business perspective. But I have absolutely no problem in Vince McMahon not being as hands-on as he has been with the WWE product and taking his expertise and put it into the XFL just to see how the WWE copes with new people in that position. Even if it fails and it doesn't work. Again, I always say this. It's like the Nightmare Collective thing on AEW, which we'll talk about in a second. Brandy Rhodes coming out, apologizing to Excalibur and basically just burying the whole Nightmare Collective thing, I thought was one of the most refreshing things I've seen on television in ages when it comes to wrestling. Because I don't mind people trying new things, but if it all goes bad, then it's up to the people, in charge to make sure they can tidy it up a bit. So it's the same with this. Why not let Paul Heyman and Bruce Pritchard, give them a bit of latitude, let them off the leash a little bit. And if they screw it up, okay, then you can just get back in and do whatever you want to do. So I'm intrigued to see where this all goes. I know there's a whole business element which may affect it, but certainly from a fan point of view, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. And if nothing else, what a great week for wrestling this has been. SmackDown has a lot to live up to because Raw was great. From everything I can tell, NXT was really, really good. I thought Dynamite was an absolutely fantastic show. So we get to Friday, Saturday, and SmackDown is awesome as well. I'll be a happy man. Shout out to my man, Ark of the Wild in the super chat, who says, "Hi, Simon Miller," or is it just Mill now? It is just Mill. I've cancelled my first and part of my last name. If WWE can do it, why can't I? I want an explanation for that in kayfabe. Why would Buddy Murphy lose the Buddy? Like, what's the reason? Doesn't make any sense, and it never will make any sense. Like, Mustafa Ali lost the Mustafa, but then it came back, which is even weirder. My man Richard Dalloway in the super chat says, "Much love, Miller Man." Much love to you, Richard Dalloway. Nice to see you. And again, if you'd like to get involved with the podcast or support the podcast, drop me a super chat and you can say and do whatever you want. As for this thing on my head that everyone keeps mentioning, I wrestle at weekends, right? And somebody went to kick me, didn't hit me as well as they should have done, and I've got a mark. That's all it is. I never thought a little mark on my head would spark such a reaction, but it did. As for AEW Dynamite, what a brilliant show. What an absolutely brilliant show. So easy to watch. Feuds building well. Getting ready to peak for the pay-per-view, which is you want the debut of Jeff Cobb, which I never saw coming. Thought they did the Jeff Cobb thing really well. There was two trains of thought after this. One was, they should have just been a surprise, which I don't think is a good idea because AEW has done surprises before and got a lot of flack for it as fans go, well, no, we don't know who he is. And the other one was that he shouldn't have come out at the end. And I disagree, or that, yeah, basically that. But I actually disagree because I think it was almost like a red herring. It was almost like a double tease because we had, Jericho saying next week Jeff Cobb's going to come in and he's going to beat up John Moxley. I was like, that's cool, Jeff Cobb, he's a badass. But never did I actually think he was ever going to come back later in the show or debut later in the show because we'd made it very, very clear it was going to be next week. So I really enjoyed that twist. Like, you don't often see that in professional wrestling. And Jeff Cobb, you don't really need to oversell him because he sells himself with his look. He looks like he could kick your ass. And being part of the Inner Circle, I thought was an excellent thing. Someone just said you look good for 38. I am not 38 years old. Thank you very much. I'm a good few years younger than that. I take offense to that. But yeah, I thought that was great. I thought it was, it's going to be something that the internet community obviously jumps on because they're going to be more aware than Jeff Cobb. But also, people have said that AEW needs more guys like that, like big brick houses, and there ain't many better than Jeff Cobb. And the cool thing, too, with Jeff Cobb is he hasn't signed anywhere. He is a legitimate free agent, so he's going to be in AEW, he's going to be in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, he's going to be in Ring of Honor, he'll probably still do New Japan stuff. He's going to be everywhere. How that benefits people, I don't know. But I'm liking that we have this idea of a true independent contractor in these big companies. It gets me excited. I really do think if you don't know who this guy is, he will win you over pretty damn soon. So, yeah, massive tick for me. Great way to end the show. Shout out to my man, Dan Lemley, who says, I'm glad to see Jeff Cobb. He's one of my faves. Exactly, man. It made you feel good. And that was the same thing, too. Like, my only criticism of the show was I would have had Sammy Guevara beat Dustin Rhodes with the help of Jake Hagar, so it didn't feel like a big deal. Because you knew that Santana was going to lose the match against Jon Moxley. He had to. Jon Moxley is your number one contender. But, yeah, so I get it's Dustin Rhodes' hometown, but that's just an ordeal that's been brought up by WWE because they always screw people over in their hometowns. But I still think you could have built to that Jake Hagar-Dustin Rhodes match, where Jake Hagar gets involved, which he did, but it cost Dustin Rhodes the match, and Sammy Guevara has some more momentum, because he doesn't really win many matches, Sammy Guevara, and the Inner Circle as a group still sort of sit on top as your major heel faction. And, Santana lost, and then that's just how I saw it, but it's such a minor criticism. That's me putting my proper nerd hat on and getting into it. But other than that, yeah, Santana versus Jon Moxley was awesome. The fact they were going after each other's eyes, obviously it was an eye versus an eye match, eye for an eye match. I absolutely loved it. Again, the ending with the Inner Circle jumping in and Jeff Cobb making his debut was just good. It was great. It was great. The promo package we had before that, building up the MJF Cody stuff, best feud in wrestling right now as far as I'm concerned. And we had the MJF Jungle Boy match, which I just thought was an excellent television bout. Like, not only do these two guys start to feel like stars, the audience are treating them like stars, but they went back and forth and it just kicked ass. And again, that's how I would have used, again, maybe you're repeating the same finish. That's why they didn't do it. Although, Jake Hagar still interfered. But, using the diamond ring, Wardlow passing it to MJF and him punching Jungle Boy in the head. You've got sympathy, empathy for Jungle Boy because he should have won. Gives him the F5 afterwards, and Jungle Boy's friends chase him off. I just think it's great. I just think it's absolutely awesome. It's just so easy. It's so simple. Like, everything makes sense. Nothing is too complicated or over the top. I don't think you need that in wrestling. All I need to do is care about the characters and where we're going. And I hate, MJF in the story for everything that he's doing to Cody. Jungle Boy is just a likable sack of potatoes, no matter how you look at it. He just is. He just is. There's nothing not to like. You may think he's a little bit, cut and dry, but that's okay right now because he's still building and he's part of a good group that everybody loves. So yeah, absolutely loved that match. And I really like Nyla Rose versus Riho too. And AEW, this is the thing that obviously you could only do if you're a new company. Once she gave Riho that Death Valley driver off the top rope and it wasn't the end, I was like, okay, well, that's winning, because you're not going to come up with a fist for a lot of it, has been addressed on television. But I just think having the monster as your title holder speaks volumes. Not speaks volumes, that's not the right thing to say. But it creates a challenge, right? And that's why when you saw Nyla Rose in the back with all her potential challengers just standing there, it was like, well, who the hell's going to beat this person? And even, Tony Khan was slightly perturbed when he tried to congratulate her. I don't really know what to do because this woman may throw me through a table. She may hit me with a chair. I thought they had great chemistry together. I thought the whole, little person versus big person worked wonderfully, as it usually does in professional wrestling. Yeah, tick boxes all round. And some people have said they disagreed, but I don't care, man. I can only look at it from my point of view. And hopefully what this does do is create more of a structure about the women's division. Did they announce a match for next week? I can't remember, but it has been very random. It has been very out of nowhere. It's been difficult to keep up with in terms of, okay, well, how does this fit into everything else? But yeah, good twist in the story. And Britt Baker is just the best. I can't, some people don't get it. And I liked it even when she started on the boat, and the one she did on the boat certainly caused more criticism than the rest of them. But this kind of airhead, don't care what you think, I'm better than you, ditzy attitude, I think it's hilarious. Like, we finally found a way 20 years after the fact to make an Isaac Yankem gimmick work. She gets booed because she's a dentist, and she comes out with all these dentist terms. You know, she absolutely crapped over her opponents, craps over Tony Schiavone, insults Whataburger, which Texas went nuts for. Couldn't believe that she insulted Whataburger. It's awesome. It is awesome, and I'm a massive fan of it. I think that it's much better than her face run, which didn't have much to it. I look forward to seeing what she's going to do every single week. I really do, and more power to her. Nick Portman Super Chat says, "Hey Simon, hope all is well today. Good to see you, and you too, Nick. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting." And my man Jacob Donnelly, also the Super Chat, says, "Dynamite was absolutely fantastic last night. Apparently in Texas, it's criminal to attack Whataburger." Yeah, do you know what I mean? People went crazy. They couldn't have booed more that she attacked Whataburger. I've never had Whataburger. I've had a smash burger, but I do hear that Whataburger is very nice. So I can't wait to see what they do with Britt Baker, especially because I think she is high up the rankings at the moment. And I can see her being the absolute coward, the absolute stimuli heel when she has to try and figure out what to do against Nyla Rose. And that's why it's more interesting with Nyla Rose being champion. Like, Riho is the proverbial underdog even when she has the belt. Nyla Rose looks like she's going to kick your ass whenever. So what a great shift. What a great shift. And the opening match was just great. The opening match did everything I want wrestling shows to do. You can't get mad at the action because by now, if you don't know what AEW is going to offer you, you're the problem. The fault's with you. So you had Hangman Page and Kenny Omega taking on SCU. But before that, they just dabbled in a little bit of the story. So we saw the Dark Order. They talked about the Exalted One. They teased it was Christopher Daniels when he ran backstage, apparently to try and make sure they didn't come out. And obviously, there's all these hints on social media there's going to be Matt Hardy. It's like the Ministry of Darkness from 1999 or whenever it was. You know, it's me, Austin. It was me all along. As long as we don't have a reveal like that, and it's a reveal that actually benefits the Dark Order and takes them away from some of the criticism they've been receiving and makes them feel like a more legitimized group, I'm okay with that. I was genuinely excited. And the match itself was just great. It just was. It was, fast-paced action. You're still teasing that Hangman Page and Kenny Omega are getting more on the same page, but there's still problems there. Kazarian, Scorpio Sky healed it up a little bit here and there. And then the tag team champions won, and you bring that feud to the end, and you get a bunch of other teams in the ring to build to the tag team battle royal they're doing next week. It's simple stuff, man. It's simple stuff, but it's just so entertaining. Because you can almost watch it, ironically, with one eye, and you can still keep up with what's going on. But that's what good wrestling should do. It shouldn't require you to know something that happened 72 weeks ago. It's not Seinfeld, or what else does that? I can't even think of anything. But I genuinely think that's fine. So, yeah, I got a massive kick out of it. And I couldn't believe it when it was time for Santana versus Moxley. I was like, what a fast 2 hours. And the Pac promo, too, that was shot by Beyond Gorilla. Again, weird, different. Pac is all pissed off. I said this on Ups and Downs, which again, live in 30 minutes on What Culture Wrestling. Make sure you go subscribe to them, too. I can totally believe a Lapsed fan kind of flicking through the channels, and if they found that, or they saw it online, social media, potentially wanting to watch AEW, because it does feel like something you may have seen in the Attitude Era, but with a modern-day twist. And Pac has absolutely found his groove at the moment. He's found his pace. He's just great, and he's going to take on Kenny Omega in 2 weeks. And guess what? It's 2 weeks away, and we still got to get through the Wardlow-Cody match. I'm looking forward to all of it. And next week, we're getting the Lucha Brothers versus Hangman Page and Omega. I think that's correct. So that's what it is. I know I said it's simple, but it's simple, and you have these interlocking storylines as well. Because we know that Omega is teaming with Hangman Page, and they've got to defend their titles. But there's also this problem over here of Pac, and he wants to kick their ass, so Kenny's got to go deal with that. Kind of the same with the Young Bucks at the Dark Order, but they're also going after the tag team titles, and Cody is, predominantly focused on MJF, but he also has to deal with Wardlow. Then you've got the Brandy Road stuff that's now coming back into it. And then Sammy Guevara is teaming off with Darby Allin, but then you've got Chris Jericho with Moxley, and it's just so well done. It's so well done, and there are that many plot holes. And I feel rewarded for watching, but I also think a new person could understand what's going on. That's what you want. That's what you want. So people go, oh, Simon, AEW fanboy. Not really. I waxed lyrical about how good Raw was this week. It's just been a great week of professional wrestling. But again, Dynamite's only been going since October, and I feel like, especially since we've got into the new year, like I say, they've just found their groove. They found their direction. And things could change after the pay-per-view because they have a very definite set point at the moment. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe what All Elite Wrestling will struggle with is when they don't have this dangling carrot to follow up. But right now, I don't worry about that because they do have the dangling carrot. It's like when people say, this Batman game wouldn't be good without Batman in it. He's in it. So what difference does it make? Shout out to my man, Alexander Falkenstein, who said, hey, Simon, long time no see. Hope you've had an awesome week so far. Thank you, Alex. It's going all right. Yeah, it's going all right. I hope yours is too. And my man, Who Dat for Life, Chris Fields. Was I a bad person for wanting Woken Matt or Matt in general to bury Edge, instead Randy causing reopening old wounds to get going? No, I know what you mean. I think the problem is that if you were going to do that, obviously referring to the all the stuff with Lita back in the day, it did happen 15 years ago, whenever it was. The two have made up in real life. I found it quite awkward and difficult at the time. I was like, is this really what we want from pro wrestling? It made it fascinating and it made me interesting, even though the feud wasn't great. I see what you mean, but no, I think Randy Orton plays that role perfectly, and Randy Orton has done such a good job. You're almost at the stage where you're like, can Randy Orton even ever be a face again? Because he's such a dastardly idiot. So I see what you mean. Look, what I want to happen, and again, it's up to the individuals involved. I think sometimes we see them too much as characters and not enough as humans. Is I hope that Matt Hardy goes to AEW. I hope that the Woken, Broken, whatever, is in charge of the Dark Order, because I think you get the added momentum of a big WWE star and a legend and a Hall of Famer and all of this jumping across. But you know, it also allows Randy Orton and Edge to have what I imagine is going to be an absolutely amazing match at WrestleMania. I don't think Edge would want anything else. The amount of just the amount of sheer excitement, I guess, and apprehension he probably has in him means he won't settle for anything less. Look, everything's building well at the moment. We've got to get through Super Showdown. I'm not going to lie. I don't massively like these Saudi Arabia events for obvious reasons, but also from a storyline point of view, they feel like they get in the way, and it feels like we have to get through them to get to whatever is next. But hey-ho, what are you going to do? My man Nick Ports, the Super Chat, says, do you think Raw will be better or worse without Vince? And off topic, but I just want to throw out there that Adam Cole should be given all the titles. Well, as we said earlier, I think we just need to try. We just need to try and see what happens without Vince McMahon at the helm, because we've never had that. You know, everybody listening to this right now and everybody in the world of my age or younger that watches wrestling, WWE I should say, has never experienced that. We don't know what, you know, modern day WWE, if you want to call it modern day WWE, has always been under the guise of Vince and Kennedy McMahon. So maybe it's great, maybe it's not great, but I think we need to allow it to happen. We need to see where it goes. And if it's better, okay, great. And if it's worse, okay, great. The key is the people in charge find ways to make it work. And look, I can't criticize Raw at the moment. I don't love every story on it, but I'm having a hell of a time watching it. It's SmackDown that I find confusing, because SmackDown is full of a lot of odd storyline twists and a lot of repetition. The Mandy Rose Otis stuff is absolutely perfect, and I'd like to see more of that. But it just seems so odd to me that on Raw, Murphy and Aleister Black are getting these big pushes, but on SmackDown, again, it's still Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin. Like it's such a strange dynamic. It's almost, I mean, it's true. This is why, but it almost is like two people are running two completely different shows. And I know we want that. Of course, we want that. I don't want any more wild card rule or crossover. But there are just some good ideas that work for wrestling. So why isn't Mustafa Ali? I think he's still on SmackDown. I get so confused. But why isn't Ali getting a bigger push? You know, why aren't Sami Zayn's? I mean, Sami Zayn's group's been around for a while, but you surely can find a better place for Cesaro. I don't know. My man Sean Gearhorn Super Chat says, new twist on an old story. Omega gets fed up with Page's craps and turns on him to get his best buds the tag titles. The problem there, though, is if Omega turns on Hangman Page for the Young Bucks, you turn Omega and the Young Bucks heel. I like the idea, and I think it would get a great reaction, but I think trying to get Kenny, Matt, and Nick Jackson as bad guys across to that audience is probably the hardest thing you could ever do. But it would be different. I'd like to think that they have changed the plan somewhat, because it was at one stage was meant to turn Hangman Page heel, but now I would not do that. He's too over, and the character's too good. And, you know, the coolest thing about wrestling, as we've talked about time and time again, is adapting on the fly. Much like we did with The Rock, right, in the late 90s, or Stone Cold Steve Austin at the same period. And thankfully, what we did in Seth Rollins a few months ago. But again, how you tell that story, I don't know, because they have to have some kind of falling out. Maybe you just let the fans choose. But I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind them giving it a go with Omega and the Young Bucks. I just think it would be hard because, again, the fans would be like, we're not booing them. It'd be like trying to, if we had Cody versus MJF at Revolution and somehow Cody does something dastardly. The fans would just love it. The fans were like, yeah, get that son of a gun. I'm intrigued about that too. I kind of think MJF has to win. How they do that, I don't know, but I think you really want to double down on this. You don't want MJF to have all this heat and, he gets genuinely booed on most Dynamites. You don't want to flush that down the toilet too quick, especially because you can get mileage out of Cody versus MJF. You could probably almost go all year with it if you come up with good ideas and keep coming up with things like the lashings and the Wardlow cage match. But how you do that, you have to come up with an interesting way. You can't just beat Cody, otherwise Cody looks like a chump. That's why it's so interesting. I don't know the answer. My man Lewis Cardona in Super Chat says, hey, Simon, love you, bro. NXT Portland is going to be fire. That's this Saturday, right? Yeah, we're doing ups and downs for that, I'm sure. It certainly looks good on paper. I haven't caught up with NXT this week because, of course, I live in the UK, and when I wake up on a Thursday, the first thing I do is watch AEW Dynamite for ups and downs. But NXT is a fascinating show because, I don't wax lyric. Again, I don't shout about it enough because when I do these shows, I haven't seen it yet. But that's another property that is consistently good. Like, it rarely drops the ball. The focus there obviously is more on in-ring competition and a whole I'm better than you, no you're not, I'm better than you mentality. But that's fine. NXT has its own personality, and that's why I love it. I know what to expect from NXT. That's what I want from wrestling, right? I want to know what to expect. That's it. And as long as I know what to expect, I can enjoy it, as opposed to... It's kind of true. I'm kind of being a liar. But the best and worst of Raw is when it's a roller coaster and I have no idea what they're going to do in the next 3 segments. It's obviously better when you do and there's a plan there, but I also do get a weird kick out of it. However, in terms of long-term and consistency and building a fan base, AEW and NXT right now are the masters, and New Japan, but talking about Western product, are the masters of going, all right, this is the direction we're going in. This is what we want to do. Please come along for the ride and we won't screw you over too much unless something happens with an injury. And that's great. My man Ryan says, can you please react to Remember This by NF? Is that a new one? Remember This, NF. Or is it old? I don't know. It came out in 2017. Yeah, we can do it anyway. Why not, my friend Ryan? Why the hell not? Where am I going next? Super chat by man Nick's Ports. SmackDown's made me very sad since going to Fox. Yeah, it hasn't really... aside from those first few shows, it hasn't really found its momentum, but that's okay. We're building up to WrestleMania. Let's get through Super Showdown and see where we are after that. It does sound like it's going to be Roman Reigns versus The Fiend. How the hell we get out Bray Wyatt versus Goldberg at Super Showdown, I don't know. Maybe WWE doesn't even care. Maybe it's as simple a situation as WWE's like, we don't care about keeping Goldberg strong. We have to keep him strong, but I still think there's mileage in the tank, so you don't want to ruin his legacy too much. And maybe Goldberg's like, I don't care about that anymore. You're going to pay me an absolute crap ton of money to go to Saudi Arabia. I'll do it. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. But I did a tweet about this at Simon at 316, and everybody went crazy. It was just an idea. I don't hate the idea from a WrestleMania point of view. I don't hate the idea of Goldberg beating The Fiend at Saudi Arabia. I know that sucks. We shouldn't build a champion and a character up for so long and then let a quote-unquote old guy beat him. But The Fiend has lost his magic to me because of everything that happened with Seth Rollins last year. It's just true. I was thinking about this the other day. Not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But in terms of what I would like to see on a marquee, if you tell me it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Goldberg for the Universal title, spear versus spear, i.e., as a fan wanting to root for good guys and bad guys, I get more out of Roman Reigns beating him to become champion again than I do Bray Wyatt. And given that John Cena has announced he's coming back in a couple of weeks to SmackDown, probably to announce his WrestleMania match, I like the idea of The Fiend versus John Cena more, because I think you could have John Cena lose that match. The Fiend wins, so even though he's no longer your champion, he does get some of his steam back. I'm not saying there's not problems to that. There are absolutely problems to that, some of which we've already talked about. But again, when I thought about it, I was like, that's not the worst idea in the world. And I think it makes the WrestleMania card better. Simply because at the moment, and I get it, we haven't even hinted at it. But Roman Reigns versus The Fiend doesn't do anything for me, especially because I presume Roman Reigns will win. I don't mind Roman Reigns being the champion. I just don't. But when I think about that match, deep down, my gut goes on, actually, I'd rather Bray Wyatt won that one. Don't know why, I can't answer it. Which, they'll probably go in that direction. I don't think it's going to change. I imagine that probably will be the main event. So that opens up the door for John Cena. Maybe you do John Cena versus Goldberg. It'd be interesting. 2 stars going at it. Maybe you do John Cena versus The Undertaker 2. People kind of enjoyed it last time. Maybe you do John Cena versus... I can't even think of anybody. Apollo Crews. And Apollo Crews just loses. In fact, let me know in the chat, who should John Cena face at WrestleMania? I think it's quite an interesting question because a lot of guys are taken up. Brock Lesnar's gone. Drew McIntyre's gone. Who else are we going to... I guess Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens are done. Samoa Joe versus Buddy Murphy potentially could be gone. Or at least the AOP versus the Viking Raiders, I guess, is going to be a thing. Hopefully the tag team titles will get carried across. You're not going to get Andrade versus John Cena, I don't think. You're not going to get Braun Strowman versus John Cena, I don't think. But let me know. You tell me. Who Dat for like Chris Fields in the super chat says, Shayna biting Becky, loved it, establishes dominance. I thought everybody was going to like it, but apparently not. I was shocked to find out that there was a reaction to it like, well, Shayna Baszler didn't need that. She's just a badass anyway. To me, I agree with that. She is a badass anyway, but if you're going to get her come out to bite somebody on the neck, if somebody doesn't know who Shayna Baszler is, or you're trying to establish said dominance, it's a good way to do it. So I was kind of surprised by that. I liked it. I didn't even think it would be an issue, but that's the internet for you. My man Mark Lambert in the super chat says, most anticipated match at NXT Portland. Probably Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa, I'm going to say. I think they've been building that for a long time. I think they'll go out of their way to try and kill each other as they want to do. And I'm intrigued whether Adam Cole manages to retain his title or whether they give it back to Ciampa, who goes back after Goldie. Just think there's a lot there, right? Because of Ciampa's injury, I just think it gives it a certain amount of depth that you wouldn't have got otherwise. So, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to that one. But although Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley could be interesting too. I've got this small thing in my head, which I don't think is going to happen, but it's like eating away at me, that maybe WWE is going to put Bianca Belair in a triple threat match with Charlotte and Rhea. I don't think they will. I think they want to get Rhea Ripley over more, and the best way to do that is one-on-one. But maybe Charlotte interferes. And that's a really cool story twist. And as I've said a few times now, I don't think we can moan about Charlotte Flair winning the Rumble anymore. It's going to help NXT, and everybody wants to help NXT. My man Nick in the super chat says, I think that what makes NXT so great is that everybody feels like a threat. Everybody feels like a big name, and it's exciting. Raw and SmackDown, not so much. Yeah, I think that's pretty true, all in all. And again, that's because the focus is on the competitiveness. It's kind of ironic because everybody thought that AEW was going to be the sports-based presentation of wrestling. It's NXT, and it's always been NXT. Like I say, their whole shtick is, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. Okay, let's prove it. And sometimes your favorites win, and sometimes the non-favorites win. You can't call it. And people do feel like a threat. And you get Keith Lee's coming up, Matt Riddle's, Roderick Strong's, Bobby Fish's. It's a great product. It is. And it's consistent, which I think is why people don't talk about it enough. People still talk about it, but on forums, on the internet in general, people get excited about AEW because it's new. Whereas NXT has just been ticking along for the last few years. Like, yeah, we can get rid of people, we can bring new people in, but we're going to be consistent. And consistency in wrestling is really, really important. Fans like it. But people like structure and they like routine, whether they think so or not. And my man Daniel M says Simon Miller-Sign was front row of Mox's entrance. Yes, that blew my mind. You'll never be able to understand, from my point of view, how much that humbles the hell out of me. And when I wake up and someone tweets that to me, or I see it when I'm watching Dynamite, I'm just like, how the hell has this even happened? But it does mean the world. Long may it continue. I never want it to go away. It's a great way to perk you up throughout the day or make you feel happy on a day you're feeling a little bit sad. So, yeah, I did see that. And thank you to anybody who brings us. Thank you to anybody who thinks it's a worthwhile use of their time to bring a sign with my name on it. That's pretty. It's humbling. That's the only word. It's the only word, because I'm just an idiot. I'm a bored asshole, like I say, that comes on the internet and rants and raves. And some videos do well, and some videos don't do well. And sometimes you get annoyed about that. But then to see that, you think, well, I must have done something all right. So yeah, I did see that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Again, we got 15 minutes, we'll all jump across to ups and downs on AEW Dynamite for What Culture. So if you do have a question, you want to say anything, or you want to put some money in the super chat, please do that. I'm trying to think of anything else we want to talk about. Did I miss anything? I haven't got my notes from AEW Dynamite. I feel like I missed something from Dynamite, and I will stare off into the abyss while I think about it. I don't think that I did now. I think I pretty much tagged everything that we needed to tag. I mean, Jeff Cobb's a big talking point, right? And what I'm intrigued about is we do Jeff Cobb versus Jon Moxley next week. Can you have Jeff Cobb win that match? I don't think so. It's like a week out from the pay-per-view. AEW is pushing Jon Moxley quite hard. A genuine babyface. In the company, it's him and Cody Rhodes going neck and neck in terms of reactions and people getting super excited and believing in this wrestler. And I don't think you want to have him lose, but you could have the Inner Circle just swarm down and beat the crap out of him. I don't think that's a problem. I am super pumped for Jericho versus Moxley. Or Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho, I should say, at Revolution. I think probably if you want to change the title, you could. When you watch that Jon Moxley action from last night, people just love him. They love him. They go crazy for him. It's exactly the right reaction you want from a guy who you're pushing as your number one contender. It's just fantastic. It really, really, really is. My man, where are you? Robert Jackson, good to see you, Rob. In the Super Chat says, seriously though, how many fish could Bobby Fry fish if Bobby Fish could fry fish? That's hard. One more time. How many fish could Bobby Fish... Fuck, that's hard. Oh, I swore. How many fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? I mean, the answer is 11. It's always 11, as we know. Bobby Fish, man. I interviewed him years ago for Defiant. What a nice guy and what a damn good pro wrestler. I'm glad that he's doing well. Linda D in the Super Chat. Good to see you, Linda. Hey, thoughts on Simone Johnson going to the PC? Obviously, yes. We should talk about that. Good point, Linda. Yes, Simone Johnson, who is the daughter of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, was signed by the Performance Center this week, signed by NXT. Poor girl instantly gets completely ragged on by the internet. Oh, she only got it because of her dad. Let's say that's true. For the sake of argument, let's say, yes, you're 100% right. Would you turn that down? No, you wouldn't. So shut up. Like, it's ridiculous. If you are, being the son or the daughter of a famous person, or whatever you want to say, is both a blessing and a curse. Yes, it's a blessing because it does give you opportunities that you probably wouldn't have got otherwise, or at least it brings those opportunities to your door quicker, and more power to you for doing that. But it's a curse because people, A, will always compare you to that person, but B, you're always in their shadow. It's like Charlotte Flair talks about it all the time. Trying to get out of that person's shadow is really, really difficult. So it's not all peaches and cream when you're in that position, but it always irks me when people say that. It's just like, oh, of course she got it. Well, good for her. Why can't you just be happy? You were never going to get that opportunity in terms of you are not The Rock's son or daughter. The only person that can go, oh, I can't believe it, is if you are also from the loins of Dwayne Johnson and whatever his wife is called. I don't know her name. That's it. Otherwise, you were never going to get it because you're not the person. You may get it on your own merit, but you were never going to get it because you're The Rock's daughter. So it's just crazy to me. But no, more power to her, man. Like, the legacy she has to live up to is obviously very daunting. Most people say The Rock is still one of the best promos ever. So, if she gets on the mic and she's not, straight away, internet community, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. She is starting out the blocks with more pressure and a far more criticism than anybody else would. And that's not fun. I'm sure she knows that. I hope she absolutely smashes it. I hope she makes it to Raw, SmackDown, NXT, whatever. I hope she's better than her dad. And I hope she shuts all these morons up and she can become her own wrestler too. But I like stories like that. I like it. I mean, how proud must The Rock be to see his 18-year-old daughter want to follow in his footsteps? I think that's cool. I really, really, really do. And again, if I was the son of somebody like that and I wanted to be a wrestler and they said, hey, I can get you in, I was like, let's do it. As long as she's working hard and shows aptitude for the skill and the sport and she respects it, who cares? All this dragging them down. I don't want to get into it too much, but it's been happening so much recently. And it's not just wrestlers. It's people just associated with wrestling or covering wrestling. You can't get an opportunity without someone going, shill. It's like, why just let them? They're probably so happy and they probably feel like all their life's work is coming together. And somebody, I know it doesn't mean anything, it's just random people on the internet, but somebody feels the need to pull down their pants and just crap on their face. And you don't need to do this, my friend. My man Dan Lemley has much more positive news, though. He says, I just want to share I've lost 25 pounds since September, which is basically 2 stone. Dude, my man, that is absolutely fantastic. And more power to you, dude. What a 2020 you must be having. I hope you're feeling better. I hope it's empowered you. And if you want to lose more, I hope you smash it. And if you're at your ideal wealth, then make sure you pat yourself on the back like Barry Horowitz. I believe Barry Horowitz now has a store on Pro Wrestling Tees. You bet your ass I am going to buy something from that. My man Sean Gilhorn says, great idea in the super chat. Aleister Black versus John Cena. Finally give him the big feud that Black needs. Dude, that is a great suggestion. That is a great suggestion. Although he's coming back on SmackDown, Aleister Black is Raw. But that's what they should do there. If John Cena is coming back to have a match and is happy to lose or whatever, and the rumor is he's allowed to choose his opponent, which seems crazy to me. Was it Brock Lesnar? No, you can't do that. We already have plans, but I'm sure there's a caveat to that. But that's the kind of guy that he should be fighting. Or Mustafa Ali. Or who else is on that show that I always like and they never do anything with? I can't even remember. But if you do it with somebody like that, it's so cool. And it's so different. It's so interesting. You're not selling the idea on John Cena being at WrestleMania. He's just like your special whatever. His caveat. He's not your main event. So I hope we get something like that. Something just bizarre. And that people like you and I will really enjoy. Robert Jackson Super Chat says, Goldberg is your dad. Why aren't you in WWE? Great question. It's because WCW died. Damn it. But it's all good. And my man Ryan says, how would you do if you're a guest on Hot Ones? Terribly. Terribly. Like, I can't handle hot food. To the point, I mean, I would go on it because it's a great opportunity. Or that everyone would be like, who the hell is this bald guy? I can't handle hot food at all. I'm so bad. I've only been for like a handful of curries in my entire life because I'm so bad with spices. And when I go, I have a chicken korma, which you all know if you go is like the wuss curry. But it's nice and creamy and doesn't have any spice. So I'd absolutely be ruined. I'll absolutely be ruined. And somebody also makes a good point saying it'll probably be Cena and Sheamus. Yeah, you're probably right. Although I think they're going to do Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. Vince McMahon seems obsessed with that match. Daniel Bryan's being a bully. Sheamus is being a bully. Daniel Bryan feels lost and that he wants to take it out on a bully. I think we'll do that. And Daniel Bryan will win and then finally avenge his loss from 72 years ago, whenever it was, when he lost in 18 seconds. I don't want to see that. But someone says King Corbin versus Cena. I don't hate that, That's okay in my world. Why do I think that? I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but I'm okay with it. I just thought about it now. And someone says, The Fiend has plenty of steam. People keep harping on about Hell in a Cell, yet The Fiend bounced back strong by beating Rollins and Bryan in a 3-week period. Also a huge win at the Royal Rumble against Bryan. Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, but the problem is that's your own feelings towards it. I can understand somebody else kind of just taking a step back, not mentally, subconsciously, after the whole Hell in a Cell debacle. And then even though WWE did their best to rehab him and put him back in the right position, it's a connection thing. It's an incredible thing, the connection. Like, you don't really control it. So even though the WWE did the right thing, because of everything that happened, you still just feel a bit like, ugh. And then it's hard to buy back in. That happens. It's a realistic thing that happens. Not just in wrestling. It happens in soap operas. It happens in movies. If you give a character that people like the wrong bit of dialogue or, who knows what. So I understand both sides. But yeah, I completely accept people that aren't willing to, or aren't as invested in The Fiend as they were. I can understand that. I am somewhere in between the two. I still enjoy his stuff. But yes, even with his good push post Hell in a Cell, I sometimes find myself, again, just not caring as much as I did when it first started happening, and I was really, really excited about the future. Doesn't make me right, doesn't make me wrong, just my personal opinion. The Train 24 in Super Chat says, fellow bald fool here. I like it, bald fool is good. Spicy makes my head sweat. Well, that's the other problem, yeah. It makes me sweat. I get palpitations in my heart, which I hate, scares the crap out of me. I don't need any of that. But I have a really sensitive body. Genuinely, that sounds ridiculous. But even like a paracetamol affects me, or an ibuprofen affects me far more. And I've had tests to figure this out. I just do. My body is sensitive to pills. Who knows? What else are we going to talk about? 7 minutes till ups and downs. That's true. 6 minutes now. So as we do wrap up, if you have a question, you have a super chat, please throw it in there now. I will just use this time to thank you all for getting over 100,000 subs. It's not going to turn into a fitness channel. People are getting worried. I'm just trying to do more fitness videos because there was an audience for it, and I need to see if I can, jump on that. Like I said, we released a fitness video last night. It died on its ass, so I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do. But Thursday, or at least today, the 13th, is definitely wrestling day. We've got this now, and again, the archive version of this will be over on the new channel. So if you are watching right now, there's a link in the description below. If you could click that and subscribe, that would be great. The live shows are still going to be here for now as I try and figure things out. But yeah, later on I got footage from my latest wrestling, or one of my latest wrestling matches too. That will be going live at 6 p.m. GMT. So you can make sure that you watch that. Also, actually, this is a random point. If you could just message me and let me know, what time do you look at YouTube? At the moment, I'm sort of aiming for 7 p.m. GMT. I'm going to try 6 p.m. GMT later. But there is a time that you find yourself on YouTube and you're more likely to watch videos. Let me know. Because I Google this stuff and read, but I'm like, well, I'd rather my audience told me, because they're my audience. Shout out to Mr. Slump, best name today by a mile. Miller Vanilla, when do you think Orange Cassidy will get a singles run? Good question. I don't know. I don't know, because Cody Rhodes has said that they're building up to something, and that when he, Cody's own quote was, when he goes, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, amazing. But yeah, when do you do it? I don't know. Like when is the time? What kind of story is he involved in? Who does he go against? Maybe like someone like Sammy Guevara would be interesting. So maybe you get the Darby Allin program done. I think, and I know this is a bit of a long reach to your answer, but I think by the end of this year, so I'm giving them a long time, Orange Cassidy will be considered somewhat of a major player in AEW. If they do release a secondary title, I think he will win it. And I think from there, they'll start developing his character a little bit. But I think they're going to take their time. I'm going to think they're probably going to wait till they have their second show, because he may be able to be a big deal on that. But yes, that would be my guess. But I don't know. But I think there's money there. Apparently, he's the number one merchandise seller for AEW, Orange Cassidy. A guy that gets barely any television time, really. But that's called being over, folks. That is called being over. There was something else that I wanted to talk about. Let me just go and check rest. There was something. This is why I left my phone. Usually I write my phone, but I don't know why I left my phone. But there was something else that I wanted to talk about. We've mentioned Jeff Cobb and how he's still a free agent, which is cool. A genuine independent contractor. Apparently, Mick Foley. Oh no, I read this wrong. Oh, he's talking about the Bella Twins. Yeah, he's talking about the Hall of Fame. So the rumors for the Hall of Fame at the moment are the Bella Twins and Jushin Thunder Liger. Jushin Liger should 100% get in. I know he had that match in NXT in WWE. I don't think he did anything else. But if you know anything about the career of Liger, he should be in everybody's Hall of Fame. I mean, an absolute trendsetter, to say the least. And when Nikki and Brie Bella were announced, I was like, oh no. Here comes the reaction to the comments. But actually, I only saw positive stuff, which I 100% agree with. Like, I'm not saying that Nikki and Brie Bella were the best wrestlers ever, but they certainly did. They played their part in this whole Divas Revolution thing. And I don't mind them going into... retract that. I think they should go into the WWE Hall of Fame. And not just because the WWE Hall of Fame these days is more about, well, who's the star attraction? Who's going to make people tune in? I think they deserve, we'll call it an accolade, for lack of a better term, for everything that they did. And the problem is that so many people go, oh, Brie Bella botched everything. Oh, go away. Everybody makes mistakes. Don't be so horrible. So... no, I'd be all right with that. Who else? So we got Batista, we got the NWO, we got the Bella Twins, maybe. Jushin Thunder Liger, maybe. We'll have a posthumous one as well. I'd like it to be the British Bulldog. Did Vader go? I think Vader went in. I can't remember. Yes, he did the speech. I'd like British Bulldog to be in that role. I think it's been way too long. I don't know what the reasons behind that are. To me, he is a... well, I mean, I'm biased, obviously, because of where I'm from, but I would absolutely put the British Bulldog in, so... I don't really understand that. But we'll see. We'll see. The Hall of Fame is coming up. Obviously, we've got WrestleMania 37 confirmed for LA in 2021. That'd be cool. Have you seen that? The stadium is amazing. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And yeah, I guess that's all we've got to talk about, I suppose, today. As we slow. How's it 2 p.m. today? Where the hell did the time go? Yeah, that's it. I did see Becky Lynch yelling at John Jones. That was hilarious. John Jones said that it's inevitable he'll probably end up in WWE. Becky Lynch's like, no, it's not John. like you don't just come over here and walk in, pal. That's not how it works. I love Becky Lynch. She's hilarious. She absolutely doesn't give a crap. Before we do wrap up, if you are around this weekend, you can come see me wrestle for Triumph Wrestling in Essex, in Grays, this Saturday. If you're around, please do come down. And on Sunday, I'm back at the Balham in Bedford for EWE, which is just an absolute treat of a place to come if you've never come before. Just a bunch of drunk people in a bar going nuts. But I tell you, we have a lot of fun. Thank you as always. Again, any feedback about my channel, just get in touch and we'll do my best. If you could help me on Patreon, that would mean the world. Patreon.com/Simon316. Even if you throw $1 in there, it really, really does help. Again, I'm not trying to overstress this, but I make no money from YouTube, hence all the changes I'm making at the moment to try and make some money from YouTube. And if my Patreon dies, my YouTube dies. And some days that does scare me. But I understand finances are hard to come by. But if I don't promote it and I don't talk about it, nobody knows about it. That's how it works. There is a link in the description below. At Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. What else do we do? Simon.bigcartel.com is your merch, where you can buy silly things with my face on it. There's other stuff that we do. I don't know. Thanks for the super chats today. I appreciate it. Give me a subscribe. It's amazing we're past 100 now. Obviously, we aim for 150. And of course, yeah, go to What Culture Wrestling right now if you are watching live on YouTube. And we'll up those downs for AEW Dynamite. And as a little bit of a surprise, I really enjoyed it. There's my button. I love you loads. Make sure you have good days today. That's what I want you to do. Even if you're having a bad day, I want you to go look in the mirror, slap yourself around a bit. I know it's not this easy. I'm just trying to give you some motivation. Say to yourself, I'm going to have a damn good day. Because sometimes when you fake it, you actually wind up having a pretty good day. I will talk to you again soon.